Okay, welcome everyone to the Watford Short Film Festival online edition, home to the drama documentaries and animations. We've got Mark Crane with us. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm just sitting here enjoying my coffee in my Superman mug.
Well, thank you for making the time. It's a snazzy mug. I'm jealous.
Thanks.
I'm jealous. Let's talk about Jason though.
Yeah.
Tell me about the inspiration behind Jason and what inspired you to make this film.
Well, it's a combination of things. I suppose the myth itself of Jason and the Argonauts, the hero's quest, has inspired so many different films. And when I was a boy watching Jason and the Argonauts, the original 1960s one, I found incredibly inspirational, made me want to move into making special effects and going into special effects. So it's one of those early films that sent me on my journey to where I am now. And in some way I wanted to honour that, but do some sort of twist on it, do something where obviously I haven't got the budget to do stop motion skeletons or any stop motion whatsoever. And so I approached the Pump House in Watford, and thankfully they were really, really supportive, and I was able to shoot the film, but so much fell away. I mean, we had a cinematographer that wasn't able to do it, so in the end I had to shoot it, and it was on an old PD 150, Sony PD 150, so it's got quite a unique look about it because of the age of the camera.
What would you say was the most challenging thing? You were talking about pitfalls there with people falling through. Like this often happens a lot with production, that there are challenges like that. But what do you think was the most challenging thing, and how did you overcome it?
I think because I've been working in theatre for so long, the idea of coming back and doing a film was really challenging. And working with children, having not worked with so many children before, was kind of, their energy. When there's certain scenes in the woods where there was at least 5 or 6 children, and trying to maneuver them into positions where you want them without them laughing, particularly Miles, the lead. He's so amazing because I think throughout the film he seems very genuinely sad, but all he ever did was laugh. I mean, it was really like it would be, you do a take, and as soon as it had cut, he would start laughing. I mean, there's I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but there's a scene with a sword where he has to fight someone, and he just would not stop laughing. And I think it took us a good half an hour. So I think it's one of these old things, animals and children. Yes, they are challenging, but I think the children are very rewarding as well, because they're quite inspirational, just their energy that it gives you. Other than that, losing the cinematographer was particularly bad. That really was the day before. So it was a case of going into my cupboard saying, well, we're shooting it on this, I'm shooting it, and getting my brother on board. There's even a sequence where Miles wasn't available, so I hunched my shoulders round and put the helmet on my head as a shot from the back. So it was a case of just really filling in.
And stylistically speaking, obviously that the film's shot black and white, it's 4:3. Is a lot of this, you were saying earlier, is kind of almost in homage to Jason and the Argonauts?
Yeah, it is. It's a homage to it's how I used to watch films in my bedroom in the 70s, was on a square TV. I suppose it's become, now it's a talking point with Justice League coming out in that format. But at the time when I made it, it really was a case of, this is how I used to watch things. It seemed to suit the story. So yeah, I think you're quite right.
In terms of making the film, the production process, how long did it take to make the film from conception to completion?
Well, in honesty, it's taken years. It's taken years because it was shot, in 2008 or 9. Then my computer that I had the original footage on crashed, and I lost the computer, and I thought I'd lost the whole film forever. And then in 2013, I managed to find the original tapes in a box, but obviously I couldn't run the tapes through a new computer, so I had them converted, and so I was able to stick it on Adobe Premiere. So it probably wasn't until about 2018, 19 when I finally had a cut of it that I think it's only been shown once at my exhibition at Watford Museum. So I'm really pleased that it's being seen in Watford, because it's where it was made, and it's part of the Pump House. So I'm really excited about that. I'm glad that it's going to be seen here after literally so many years of it being in pre-production.
Well, we're excited to be showing it as part of the Watford Award category at the film festival, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending time and effort to make the film, to recover it after almost losing it, and then sharing it with us. So no,
yeah, it's great. It's great that it's happening. It really is.
If the audience are watching, what do you think? What would you say is the main takeaway that you'd like the audience to take from this film?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's more of a feeling. I think for me, because I was editing it on a small machine with my headphones on, I wish everyone could have headphones on. So my advice would be, if you're watching it online, get the headphones on, because the soundtracks and the sound design is so crucial to the experience of watching it. And for me, I think it's more of a feeling. It's more of an emotional feeling. But if you're one looking for little interesting spots in it, you'll see a Cyclops model early on from I think that's The Voyages of Sinbad, which is a Ray Harryhausen. So that's my little homage. And obviously the small Greek figures are also another homage to the original Jason and the Argonauts.
And obviously, with the audience that attend the film festival, we have quite a variety of audience, from filmmakers to people who have interest in film, students who are filmmakers, and even people who have never made films but are curious about the process and things like that. You've had a lot of experience working in the industry and on high-budget films, as well as also shooting films on a low budget. I think there's always a misconception that people have that you need a massive budget to make films, and I was wondering what your take is on low budget filmmaking, and what advice you could give to people who are maybe looking to start out in film.
Low budget filmmaking restarted my career when I'd stopped. I'd left the film industry working on, as you say, some big budget films. And I went into theatre, I went into drama school. And I think really with the advent of mobile phones, with the quality of the lenses on these cameras, allowed me to shoot my first animation. When it was actually for a theatre production. It was about this chap who buys John Lennon's last the record that Mark Chapman got John Lennon to sign the day he was shot, and I filmed an animation piece using shadow puppetry, which again got me into starting puppetry again, and that was all shot on my mobile phone on a single app, and edited on my mobile phone as well, and the soundtrack was added via my mobile phone. I didn't even have Adobe Premiere at the time, and that was 2015. And I think most people now have got a mobile phone of some description, and if you've got a mobile phone, the sheer quality you can shoot with these lenses now. I mean, my camera's 4K now on this Google Pixel, but some of the Apple iPhones are out of this world, and you can get lenses, and really, there should be nothing stopping you. If you want to make something, there's nothing stopping you. And if you want to make something that seems very big, I would recommend starting with shadow puppetry, because if you want to tell an epic story, you can tell it as big as you like with shadow puppetry. So, I recommend puppetry, and I recommend mobile filmmaking.
And for the filmmakers or the people who are curious about the craft of filmmaking, but have never necessarily felt confident to make a film themselves, but they've been flirting with the idea or debating, I don't know, maybe I want to give this a try, I'm not too sure. What would you say to them? What advice would you say to them about sort of creating ideas and making a film?
I mean, it depends on what your process is, because I suppose if you're already nervous about doing it, you don't want to put too many blockages in front of you from picking up the camera and starting to shoot. From my perspective, I always like storyboarding. It always helps me the most if I can, whatever's coming up in my mind, because you don't have to be a great artist. And just, I don't know if you can see behind me, actually, it's something I'm working on now. And I find it very useful to picture these things. So when I've actually got the camera in front of me, I can recreate the things, the images that I had in my imagination in the first place. And that way you can start seeing how the structure of your story is building, because you don't necessarily have to write the story. You can totally improv it as well. It's personally, I think, don't put any restrictions. If you can hold the camera and point it at yourself, you can shoot a whole film with a monologue if you want. Alan Bennett built his career with monologues of people talking to the lens. And I think every one of us has got an interesting story that we can tell. We've all had experiences in life that may seem quite boring to us, but that human connection, that seeing that part of your life can sometimes inspire someone else's. So I think don't stop yourself. The equipment's there for you to make it. And God knows, I wish I had it when I was 14, because when I was 14, we had a show. This will date me. It was a show called Clapperboard, and when I watched Clapperboard, there was all these children, and they always had 16mm cameras, and they'd interview Tarquin and say, oh yeah, my mum and dad bought me this camera, and I've shot this film, and I just think, Christ, that's how are you doing this? I so wish I had the money to get a camera. Even a Super 8 camera was out of my price range. And so when mobile phones came along, there really is no excuse for anyone to make a film about anything you want. Literally anything, sci-fi, horror, you can shoot it on your mobile phone. So I've seen some amazing mobile phone films. So and start there, because I built up to a Blackmagic camera from starting on my mobile phone. So it's you don't let the technology stop you. Don't let the hardware stop you.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Finally, where's the future for Jason and for you, filmmaking wise? What projects are you working on? Have you got anything coming up? And how can people follow you, get in touch?
Oh, please go to my website, which is www.theatreonwax.com. If you go to there, you can find many ways to contact me through social media. You can see my latest music videos, which has recently won an award in Portugal for Elephantry. I'm currently talking with a couple of musicians about making some music videos. I'm working on a couple of films, a puppet film, a romance story set in the afterlife. And I'm also working on a project behind me, which is based on COVID, really, my experiences with COVID during lockdown and the Me Too movement and things like that. So
amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Mark.
Thanks, James.